Hey gang, Hammersill here. Rocket sent this file to me probably a week ago, and I've been a little behind on my game recordings that have been sent in. In fact, I still probably have 3 or 4 that I have to get to. But I wanted to make sure I got this one done today. This is a game in which Rocket, which you will see his name in game as Flagstaff 2016. We call him Rocket. For a very good reason, and if you join us on voice comms, we're happy to explain that to you. And he is, of course, divisioned with Heathcote, one of our executive officers, who is a friend of mine going all the way back to my childhood. We've known each other a very long time. In fact, he was a groomsman at my wedding. Okay, so all that aside, probably at this point, Rocket and Heathcote are just discussing which way to go here. And since I have not watched this, we are going to be enjoying it together for the first time. Okay, so let's take a look at the lineup. Both teams have a Ryujo, so there is the threat of aircraft, although for Cleveland against a Tier 6 aircraft carrier, that threat is really minimal. More than anything, it's the threat of being spotted. Although the Cleveland has pretty good detection radius, as you can see there on the minimap, of 9.3 kilometers when your captain's spec'd for it. But being detected is really not that big of a deal, especially when there are other ships that are out in front of you, which in this case we've got a Trento who's out there, and Gnevny does not have all that great of a detection radius. So, you know, in my opinion, he's really put himself out there, the Gnevny captain, by going ahead and moving into that cap. Okay, so Leander is up. Frank Savage there in the Leander. That is a juicy target. Pretty much anybody who can is going to be firing on him. I think those shells are going to land well behind the Leander, but had to take the shot. If nothing else, it'll serve to dissuade the Leander, maybe, from trying to get there and trying to get in the cap. So, yep, he went ahead and moved on in anyway. I think those are going to fly right over him. Okay, friendly Blishkevitsa is about to flip the Alpha Cap, and that is going to start giving our heroes team... Oh, nice. Alright, so Heathcote landed a Citadel on the Leander, and you can see in the right edge of the screen there, Leander has lost a significant amount of hit points. Okay, so Rocket has to decide, do I fire on Cleveland or do I wait and try and get a shot on the Minsk, or both? Aircraft closing in.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on full alert.
Rocket wisely using the defensive fire, and he swats a few aircraft out of the sky. Now, Sinop does represent a significant threat. Probably a good idea for him to have angled out and made sure he didn't make himself a big juicy Citadel target. I wondered what the lightning was on about. My guess is, you never know, but my guess is that if someone were to look, that player probably does not have many, if any, games in a CV, and has no idea how challenging it could be to hit a DD with a CV, especially a Tier 6 CV. Not to say that it's impossible, that it can't be done, but it's not as easy as all that. Okay, the red team has managed to flip 2 caps to the green team's 1. Gnevny was forced, just by a rain of shells, to run away from the Bravo cap. Our Trento there might finish off the Leander. I'm not sure who he's shooting at there, Rocket, whether he's trying to hit New Mexico or the Cleveland, but... oh, okay, must have been New Mexico. You got the Cleveland's moving, so I think those shells are a little too far behind him. Not having much luck with your leads here. And now 3 are targeting, 4 are targeting Rocket. He's about to go undetected. And back into relative safety. So he had a gun knocked out. He'll get that back here, and I would have had it back anyway in just a few seconds. Not sure I would have used the repair there. Okay, Minsk only has range 4 torpedoes, so really not much threat there, but you can see that Rocket did activate the radar, presumably to offer Lightning the possibility of lighting up the Minsk, although the Minsk, I think, is sitting there in smoke, and Rocket is moving farther away, so it's not going to do the Lightning much good, unfortunately, and Rocket just paid a heavy price for getting detected. Okay, so just for a moment, if I'm being critical, but I think it'll help a lot of people. One of the things that Rocket might have done there is not fire, and because he's got a very good detection range, I get those guns on the Minsk, he could have pushed in close enough, potentially, to light up the Minsk and not have been spotted himself, because the Minsk was behind an island. And still firing well behind the targets. And I think the same is going to be the case there. And there. Okay, so it looks like Heathcote has taken some damage, but not much. Same can be said for Rocket, and Rocket's landed a few shells on the Synop, and he is now burning. Okay, so let's look at this flank. We've got 4 ships on the good guys team here, and 3 ships now on the enemy team. The good guys are up by 1 point, well, 4 points now, and up by 1 ship. And the Lightning is probably going to end up flipping this cap, because I can't imagine that enemy Synop is going to stay in the cap indefinitely. See if you can get another fire going here. Ooh, a lot of AP shells coming. Yeah, that hurt. But Synop is now out of the cap. I think I'd probably go dark here, but we'll see what happens. Heathcote is positioned to threaten Synop and Amalfi. And our Lightning now has the Icarus to contend with. And he finishes him off with guns. Great job. Lightning's pretty beat up, but he does look as though he's going to be able to secure the cap. And Rocket's having a heck of a time targeting here. Now, I want to offer a round of applause, and I mean this very sincerely, because one of the things you'll notice that Rocket is doing here is he's pulling the trigger. Oh, that hurt. He's pulling the trigger, but then he's looking back. He's zooming in, and then he's zooming right back out, and he's checking his surroundings. Now, it takes a little bit of practice to get good at that, but that is such a fantastic habit. I really, honestly, sincere applause, because anybody who does that over time, what will end up happening is you'll get better and better at reading this situation. You know, as you zoom back out, okay, but here's where the 3 ships are, here's the direction they're moving. You'll get better and better and better at basically getting the information from a glance of zooming back out like that to help you better position. And he's doing a great job of using that habit to be able to do that. You'll see that Heathcote is just bow tanking. He's doing a great job of absorbing damage and putting a hurt on the enemy. Our Bismarck, who's still got a lot of hit points, is fortunately pushed in and making use of those hit points. Okay, so the good guys are down 5 ships. The bad guys are down 6 ships. Rocket has started 4 fires, shot down 4 planes, landed 67 shells for 34,000 damage. And I'm not sure of what Heathcote's damage totals are, but we know he at least got the one Citadel and the Leander to kind of get things rolling, and presumably he's got significantly more than that at this point. Alright, now Rocket is DD hunting. Nothing wrong with that. He's going to have a hard time hitting him at that range. I mean, his Loyang was basically at the very edge of his range when he pulled the trigger and was running away, so really no chance of landing shells, but sometimes having shells splash even a little bit behind you will be incentive enough to keep moving in that direction. I think those shells might be a little high unless Cleveland turns back out, but again, we get back to it. It's incentive to not do what you're doing. Okay, great. Boy, that turned out well. Now our Bismarck our Bismarck is pushing up right behind that Amalfi, and looks like either he or Heathcote. Okay, looks like maybe the Bismarck might have landed the first series of shells, and Heathcote finished him off. So that was some great teamwork there, and kudos to both Heathcote and the Bismarck captain for aggressive play, and it really paid off there. Oh, Heathcote goes down to shells. I'm not sure whether that, yeah, and Sinop goes down. So we're looking now at 100 points down, but a 2-ship advantage. We've still got Blishkevitsa, who is going to almost certainly be able to secure the Alpha Cap. Rocket is apparently positioning to, and I think a great choice, to defend the Bravo Cap. Yeah, I said Reger because I just a few minutes back finished a video that Reger had sent me in. Good, he's positioning to angle to minimize any damage from the Cleveland while still being able to get shots on him. It doesn't matter if Cleveland is hanging out where he's hanging out. All that matters is that Cleveland is not in a position to contest the Bravo Cap. With over 7 minutes left, there's still plenty of time for the green team to catch up on points, and really there's plenty of time for the Bismarck to finish off the Cleveland. So, barring catastrophic mistakes being made, this looks like it's going to end up in the W column. Bismarck is really beat up at this point, but again, kudos to him for some very aggressive play that really paid off. Ismail is pretty beat up, but still capable of landing some painful shots. He seems to be moving up to get into range to be able to hit Cleveland should Cleveland move in. Rocket is really banged up, but given how banged up the enemy Cleveland is, worst case scenario, probably end up trading should he encounter the Cleveland and both able to get their guns working. Blishkevitsa is in pretty good shape and is a pretty decent gunboat. I mean, he's been power crept a little bit, but still, pretty decent gunboat. He and Rocket together could certainly finish off the enemy Cleveland. Now I'm guessing our Bismarck is going to have a shot at him, but Rocket's got the AP working in the hope that maybe he would continue, but it looks like Cleveland's probably going to head, yep. He's going to be headed to Davy Jones' locker when Bismarck was able to track guns on him. And now, all that remains of the enemy team is the Ryujo and the Loyang. You can see torpedoes there, so that gives us some idea that the Loyang is north of the Ismail position. Now it's a question of whether the Blishkevitsa will move to spot the Loyang, or were those aircraft torpedoes? I wasn't paying attention. I guess we'll see. Well, Blishkevitsa is headed that way, so my guess is those were probably Loyang torpedoes. And the enemy CV is... He's probably... Okay, so we know
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on normal alert.
the Lo Yang is right up there. And the enemy CV is probably going to try and finish up. Let's go. Okay, so there's Lo Yang. Rocket throws AP shells in the air. Really ought to be firing HE here, but if you can land shells at all, do any damage, that'll certainly help. Oh! Ryujo just popped up. He's a little bit out of range for Rocket, but if RCV spots him again, which either way, he's going to get spotted here in another little while, just because Ismail and Rocket are both headed this way. Okay, Lo Yang's back up. Really, really thinking here, you know, double tap one, get those HE shells working, but he's sticking with the AP. Lo Yang might be able to bounce the AP, but he could not bounce the HE shells because HE shells can do splash damage and start fires, and basically, at least in my opinion, would be a better choice against a DD in most cases anyway. Okay, so Rocket's defensive fire is back up. He's activated that. He's got his sector damage increased, and he's trying to put a hurt on these planes. He's got 4 down, and the CV captain misses his drop, and he just keeps losing planes. Yeah, just keep pushing in, keep pushing in. Bismarck is about to secure that other cap. We're down to 3.5 minutes. Lo Yang is going to have to make a strike, a torpedo strike, and probably, if time keeps, well, yeah, given the time, we might see Lo Yang actually try to land guns on Rocket here before this is over. Okay, we've got 3 seconds until defensive fire's back up. We got 1 plane down already. Okay, there it is. And now Ryujo is in big trouble, and Rocket has very smartly positioned himself to be moving away from the position of the Lo Yang. He's got his radar up, so if Lo Yang gets close enough, that's well behind the ship, that he'll be able to spot him, and he and Bismarck will be able to get guns on him. And he's just continuing to chew up planes. Yeah, Lo Yang, as expected, has got his guns working. I think AP would have been better here, but he's still going to be doing damage. And yeah, there's a Citadel. That's really nice.
The ship is on fire.
And he's just racking up Citadels with the HE. So it's really not going to matter. That Ryujo is going down. You got to shorten your lead a little bit. There we go. Another Citadel. You know, HE might have been a better choice. It could have been overpens, but the light cruiser shells, I think, probably. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Great work, Rocket. You finished off the CV, and Lo Yang is probably not long for this world. I think you ought to be shooting at him, honestly, right now, rather than just running away. But it's not going to matter. Looks like he's burning down anyway. Great game, both of you. Really fun to watch. This ended up being quite a battle. It was slugfest all the way through. Yeah, come on. Oh! I really wanted you to finish him. Thanks a lot for sending in the game. I appreciate it. It was very fun to watch. And to all the rest of you watching, thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.